All right, welcome everyone tuning in. I am Key, and today's conversation is a special one. I'm sitting down with Zara. She lost about 84 pounds in 3 months, completely naturally. So, we're going to unpack what actually made that possible and what her day to day looked like and what was happening mentally and emotionally through it all. So, my goal is simple, it's just to give anyone watching this some real clarity on what lasting transformation actually takes and to show that it's possible no matter where you're starting from. So, Zara, I'm really grateful you're here and open to sharing your story today. So, thank you so much. Um, Before this transformation started, I guess what was your lifestyle like? What were your hobbies? What was your environment like? What was your lifestyle like?
Yeah, my lifestyle was it was like like I was eating like the standard American diet. Like I would go out for lunch a lot, like Wendy's. I used to be like a heavy like cheese eater. Like I used to love cheese fries, fried food. I would even eat like fried chicken, like rice, because I'm Jamaican, so I'd eat like oxtail, rice, gravy, all the like the toxic foods. Like I was heavy eating that. Like I would not cook. I would just eat out all the time, and that was my main lifestyle. I also did not like water, so I'd be having like sodas, pops, like it was like the worst. And also like
Mm,
even like I remember too, like I would have a lot of like I used to love French toast and waffles, so I'd like pour so much syrup, all that table on my waffles like all the time. Like I would eat so much and yeah, like I was a big foodie, so like my diet, like I would eat anything and everything. To sum it
got
up.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did this like affect your energy levels or your confidence, and just your lifestyle in general?
hmm I feel like it had a really big impact, like especially the way I looked because of the fact that I was such a foodie. Like my body, I gain weight and I lose weight pretty quickly. So like I hold on to a lot of impurities really quick. So like there wasn't a time that I've been truly slim throughout my life. Like I've always been, the bigger girl, like always kind of overweight. So it has affected my confidence to the point where I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't like the way my body looked. And like because of that, it was the one of the ways to cope was like just keep on eating and keep on eating. So it affected me a lot there, especially at a younger age and being like a woman. It definitely affected how I looked and how I felt about how I looked. So one of the ways I would mask that is like keep on eating more because it felt really good to eat. And like there's a lot of foods that like I loved and it was really comforting. So I think that affected me in
Mm.
that respect. And especially like growing up too, like I had PCOS and also a lot of like nervous system issues and like hormonal imbalance. So it also affected me in a health wise too, that I'll kind of get into later. But I think that's like the main two things, like my confidence, the way I looked, the way I treated myself, but also how it affected my health. I think that's the main thing for me.
Right. Okay, I see. And so I guess what was like the turning point that, you really were like, all right, like I need to do something, like what motivated that or what was like the trick the like the turning point?
I think the turning point was, well, this was like when I was the most heaviest I've ever been. I was like over 200 pounds. And this was like in 2019. And also during that time, that was when my grandma was dealing with cancer too. So like that was
Mm.
also something that opened my eyes. I'm like, oh shoot, like if I don't change, like I could end up having severe health issues worse than like the PCOS that I was having and also worse than the weight. Like this could lead to diabetes, this could lead to, high blood pressure, this
Mm.
crazier things. So I think that was a turning point. Like when I reached my heaviest, I was like, yeah, no. And like I also was having a lot of like pain in my body. Like I couldn't even move at such a young age. And I was like, that is something that I would not wish on anyone. So I think that was like the real like knock on the door that made me want to change. And then also watching my grandma lose her life to the healthcare system and how she was so heavy in holistic health, but she didn't really use it in that moment, really like shook me. It was like, yeah. I have to change something about that.
Wow, yeah, that's powerful. Okay. So were there any kind of maybe diets or protocols that you tried whenever you were like, all right, I need to change something that maybe didn't work in terms of helping you feel better?
Mm. Yeah, like I tried actually a bunch of different diets. Like the first diet I ever tried was pescatarian. So like that's when I first started. I'm like, okay, 'cause my family, they don't eat like red meats. Like we don't really eat red meat. So I'm like, okay, let me go back to my roots and trying pescatarian. So I did that for a bit. I would say like 6 months. I felt better, but it wasn't really it. Like I still wasn't really losing weight. I still had mucus. I still felt sluggish, but it was like something that I thought would help slowly, but I noticed it didn't really help. So that was one of the things I noticed. And then I tried doing keto, which a lot of people are told like keto works. Tried that and it still wasn't enough. So I think those were the two diets that like just didn't work with the process I was going for.
Okay, got it. And so I guess what was like the biggest like change for you that actually started working, and how did you hear about it and find out about it?
The biggest change was okay, so this was 2020. I This is like after my grandma has passed. She gave me this book. It was called Healthy Food, and I forgot the author. I was reading that book, and they give you like a list of diseases and like different foods to eat to help with the disease. So I was like studying that book religiously. And then one of the things that came up was like, 'cause I had PCOS, I was like searching, okay, PCOS, and they gave me like a list of foods. And they said the best diet to go on was plant-based. So I'm just like, vegan? What the heck? I was like, ew. So I was like Googling, okay, plant-based diets, like what does that look like? And then I found Dr. Sebi's page and how he
Mm.
was able to heal other people. And I'm like, whoa. So I started diving into that and I started getting into herbalism. And I'm like, this combo makes a lot of sense, like how he was able to heal people and different herbs and even like alkaline living. So I dove deeper into that. And this was like 2 month process, like me diving in and doing research. And then after that, I'm like, okay, let me just try it. So that's what I did. I went cold turkey. I stopped eating meat. I stopped eating like refined sugar. I stopped cooking a lot of my food. I was eating raw, and I did like the main alkaline diet. So like I couldn't have, I think like cauliflower, but like the alkaline diet. So I did that.
Yeah.
And that was when I started seeing like results. Like within a month, I dropped 10 pounds. My skin started to clear up. Like my hair was growing back. So I was like, there's something here. And then that kind of guided me into going like more raw and diving into more herbalism as well. But I think that was like the stepping stone that got me there.
Wow, I love that. So you skipped the whole like vegan junk food phase, like because most people they go vegan or plant-based and they go to the store and they buy everything that's labeled plant-based and vegan, all the frozen meals and things like that. So you kind of skipped that phase.
Yeah, I kind of like jumped, like quantum leaped into a whole different thing. Yeah.
Wow. That's super powerful. I love that. Okay. Now, how did were you living by yourself when you were doing this 2 month? You said within the 2 months you started you staying consistent with it. Were you living by yourself or were you with family or
I was with my family, like, because I have my family in Jamaica and I have my family like back home. So I was with my family and then also went to Jamaica during this time too. So I was like with my family. It was hard because they were just like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
yeah. So but I was so determined though, even though they were like looking at me sideways, like, what are you doing? Like, you might lose too much weight. Like, this is not healthy. But I was so committed to like figuring it out and trying to like heal myself. So like I like tuned out all the noise and was like, okay, I have to make something work. And I think that was like the motivation that changed it for me because I'm like, if no one else believes it can work, like I have to kind of believe that, yeah.
I love that. And did you ever go back to any like regular foods after that, maybe that weren't the best?
There was a point in my journey, like in 2022, where I fell off and kind of went back. And I think that was one of the hardest years for me because like what I was going through. And then that kind of also hit me too, where I'm like, oh no, like this diet, like I feel like that made me realize that the diet was is so healing because I'm like, I went back to just slightly how I used to eat and I seen the health issues arise again. Like I was so inflamed. I was going through the joint pains, low energy, fatigue. Even there's a point where like my hair wasn't growing, my hair was falling out, acne growing, I had eczema. Because I've always had eczema like when I was younger. So my eczema came back and I realized, yeah, it's definitely the foods, the lifestyle, and what I'm putting into my body. So that was that little hiccup that I had in 2022. And then I believe like October, I went back on the diet and I was consistent ever since.
Wow, amazing. So that was like the proof in the pudding for you of like, wow, okay, what I'm eating is really making the whole difference of these outputs that I'm experiencing. So how did you make this work financially? Did you f find it was cheaper or more expensive to be eating healthier compared to your old diet?
I found it cheaper because I used to eat like I used to be heavy on DoorDash, like every meal, DoorDash, DoorDash, Door, and like it adds up with like shipping costs and everything. I find this easier because it's like an elimination diet. So you don't have to worry about buying like your meats, you don't have to worry about buying like your pastas, your grains, like your, all those other produce like your dairy. So you're just
Mm.
sticking to like, fruits, whole foods and things like that. So I find it is now it can be sometimes pricey, like item per item, but I find it nothing really changed financially when it comes to like the diet. I think it is easy to maintain, and plus, like I do a lot of fasting too, so I think that really helps. Um,
Mm.
Fasting too. So I think it's just how like you frame it, because I do think like when you're eating different groups of foods and you have to buy like big groceries because you have to worry about like meats and dairies, that could add up. But when you're sticking to like fruits, you only have to worry about fruits. And when you're fasting, you don't have to eat them like every single day or like for a long period of time. So I think that also helps you save money too.
Most definitely. Cool. Okay. And so I guess what is your diet like nowadays?
My diet, like I mainly only eat raw right now. So like I eat in my circadian rhythm. So I eat from 12 to 6 and my breakfast is always fruits. Like I love berries. I think berries are really powerful for women, especially like balancing hormones. So I do a lot of berries. I do a lot of homemade acai bowls. So I mix like blueberries, blackberries, and I have like this powder mix of berries. Like it has camu berries. What else does it have? It has I think it's called salpomato berry. So it has a lot of different berries in there. I do a lot of almond butter for the healthy fats, especially for like healthy cholesterol. I think that's really important. I do a lot of avocados in my salads, but my breakfast is always like a big smoothie of berries. And then my lunch is always a big salad. So I always have to have like, my vegetables, my healthy fats, and then some type of like amino acid, either that's like lentils or something, but something hearty like that. And then dinner is always where I have like one cooked meal if I need to. So I have like some multi-grain quinoa, or I have like some squash or some zucchini or something that is hearty like that to kind of balance it. And then throughout the
Mm.
day, I'm just taking like herbs. So sometimes I do like sarsaparilla for iron. Sometimes I do like bladderwrack and different things for different minerals, but that's pretty much it. I'm mainly fasting and doing that. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And so I guess if someone was interested in eating like how you are right now, to lose weight and clear out their gut issues, would you recommend them just go overnight, or like how would you recommend transitioning? Say they're eating a standard American diet, and they want to get to this point of how you're eating right now.
Mhm. If they're starting on a standard American diet, I wouldn't recommend going cold turkey like what I did to be fair, because It might be too much on the body, especially if they haven't detoxed before, and also depending on like their age, because they could, let's say for example, they're in their 30s, like they could have like, 20 or 30 plus years of toxins in their body. So I do feel that it is important to start slow and start by opening up your pathway. So I would start by eliminating certain food groups once at a time. Like, for a week you can do, no dairy, and then the next week you eliminate meat, and then the next week you do no grains until you reach to the point where you're just doing fruits. That way, like you're slowly opening up your pathways and also adding in herbs too to open up like the lungs, the liver, so you're able to release while still um slowly eliminating. So that way, when you get up to the fruits, you're not making your body more sick. So I recommend starting slow with elimination. And then once you get to the point where you're just on fruits, then you can, detox that way and add in more heavier herbs that are needed. Yeah.
Mm. Wow, it's really clear. I like how you broke that down. That's very clear. I like that. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, and how long has it been now since you've been eating mostly the way you're eating right now?
It's been about 2 years consistently. So since 2023.
Got it. Okay. And how do you find like just living in, you're in a big city, Toronto. How is it 2 years in now or a little bit over with cravings and just being around people or just like seeing stuff on social media? Like, is it still like a slight not battle, but like you still how are the cravings and how is like just staying committed? How easy is that for you now, 2 years in?
It's definitely gotten easier with time for sure. Like, because in the big city, like there isn't a lot of people that are on this journey because like, you're not in the tropics where there's fruit all around you, so there is temptation. But I think the main thing that got me, that helps me is that like I have social media, so I'm seeing other people online, so that's kind of where I put my focus too. But um when it comes to cravings though, I think because I'm so like I've been doing it for like the 2 years, my body doesn't crave like the sugars because of the diet and because of like, I've reset my gut. I'm able to like balance my taste buds, and I also add like certain bitters to help regulate my cravings too. So I think that's a really big thing. When it comes to like, being in a big city, being where it's cold, where you don't have that much fruits, I think that really helps too. Like having a good place to put your energy so you're not seeing a bunch of distractions, but also like with your diet and also with like what you're consuming, it helps your body so your body doesn't want to crave other things, or your body can't crave other things because like you've regulated your taste buds. So I think that's really helpful.
I like that. Those are some good tips right there. That's some golden nuggets you just gave out. Cool.
Mhm.
So, if you could talk to your past self or maybe someone that was in your situation a couple years ago, and you can just give them a couple words of advice, maybe some tips to just stay consistent and moving forward in their healing journey and feeling great during the process. What would you tell your past self or someone that was in your old shoes?
I like that question. What would I tell my past self? I feel like I would tell her, ooh, I would tell her that, because sometimes it could feel kind of lonely on your journey, especially like if you don't have a community. So I would tell her, number one, that you will find your people. Like there's people out there that are doing the same things as you that can motivate you. So I would tell her to keep on going. And I would tell her to remember like her big picture, her why. Because I think that also helps with motivations, like remembering your why. Like even if
Mm,
it's like for longevity, to have a better health, to, live a longer life so that, you can be there for your family, or maybe when you have children or whatever, or also teaching the next generation. But I think one of the things I would tell her is just never forget your why, and that there's people out there that are doing the same things as you. You can connect with them and you can learn from them. And I think that is something I would tell anyone who feels like kind of stuck. Like there's people out there that will support you, and also remember your why, because that will carry you out when you don't feel like doing it.
mm, I
Yeah.
love that. That was beautiful. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing all of that so openly. I know someone watching this is really going to feel a little less alone and a lot more hopeful after hearing your story and these golden nuggets you drop. So if this helped you in any way, you guys feel free to drop a comment or share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're on your own healing journey right now, weight loss journey, just know it's possible. Keep going. Thank you so much again, Zara. I really appreciate you. I'll leave Zara's Instagram handle in the description. And do you have a YouTube as well?
Yeah, my YouTube is the same as my Instagram. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll leave both of those down in the description. You guys can go check her out and all of her work. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much, Zara.
Thank you for having me.